Hello, this is Gerald Johan van Waas and the educational channel that is related with the book Sound Inform. The theory is to be found in the development of the word. The support is of course more about the theory. The theory is explaining how letters and letter combinations are based upon a natural order that we follow and that we use to make our words, and that in that way, if you analyze the letters and letter combinations from that viewpoint alone, you can see how every letter combination is relevant, is absolutely relevant. How we name things and how we remember the words, how we even visualize associations based upon the words. And it is a strange idea at first, but if you know how it works, it makes sense. Our mind remembers these letter combinations well, and I hope in this video as well, I hope to demonstrate how not only letters and letter combinations are based upon certain positions in time and space, they are also, and from that point of view, they also have a formation process. I hope I can also demonstrate that we follow these rules so well that you can see how letter combinations are also representations of the things themselves. Let's demonstrate this again with the letter combination of this time the S with the L, or the SL, so words with SL. I have a lot of examples. Let's go. Now the S, I was already going to say, like, okay, I have to explain it a little bit better. The letter S, it is a more complex letter because the system behind it, I can make it very simple as well. Every word has a certain way, tendency to show itself in a certain formation, and by combining these formations, sometimes these forms become something completely different, and also the associations that you can make become something completely different. But there's a way to analyze this and to get to know this underlying direction, which is as real as numbers are. So we follow them simply because they are logical. And in this video I will demonstrate the letter S in the system. The whole system is based upon a numerical foundation, but much more than numbers. There are positions that you go not just from 0 to 1, but several positions that makes you notice small changes, and all these small changes, they are related with letters. That's how it is also a natural order. And the A, for instance, is the very first letter, but the S is the very last letter in the complexity. So it is necessary that we also explain the whole structure beneath this S. The S itself could have this very simple visualization process, but there is a whole larger structure behind it on which it is based upon. If you analyze all this whole system and all the letters that can be placed on this system, you can see that there are 3 different regions of order. And the first 9 letters, they are on the order of the 3-dimensional world and perspective. So they are real physical reference points as placements in space. So in the 3 dimensions, let's say. So this is the first world. It's the visualization which you can immediately visualize and pinpoint in our current space. It's a very simple access. All the words, all the letters have such a kind of easy access. But then you also have the things that are not immediately formed, that need some time, that are in development, are changing. So these are not immediately you cannot immediately visualize them in space. You need the aspect of time. It is changing in time and so on. These are the next level of 10 letters that you can find there. That's the formation in progress. It is changing. It's the whole system is based upon connections with time. The last couple of letters, which are 7 letters only that fit there, you can have more of them, but the 7 basic letters are there, are based upon the next level. And the next level is that you cannot be sure how they are. You cannot be certain that they will be formed in time, because maybe you don't have enough elements to make it so it needs to be done some changes to make things happen, to make it real, so that you not only have something in the future in time, but you're sure that it will also become real again in our three-dimensional world. So you need to do some changes to it, and have some new orders. You have to reorganize all these things. This kind of multiplex world of combinations, of varied combinations in space and in time, with a new order giving of the things that are given there. They are the last level. That maybe some other video I will explain it better, but that's basically what it is. It is the elements of change, let's say. Something also will be restored in the conditions that are needed. It's the big plan, actually, how you organize. You even organize our way of thinking, our way of organizing itself. All these couple of things will be explained in some other video, but I have some examples in this video as well, because the letter S is the last letter, and it is in this structure. It is built in this structure. Even so, nature also always has a simple access point, always a simple form, a simple result at the end, even when there's a complexity behind it. I'll hope to give examples that show you both of these worlds. So the S in the end, because it wants to be simple, it is just about the end result, what is ultimately produced, the final effect. That's what I also said at the end. So I will give you already an example of a word or few words, simply because of the placement of the letters on this scheme. Because if you go from the first letter to the last letter in the system, you have the first letter, the A, which is the one-dimensional point in space, in three-dimensional space, the starting point, and the last letter, the S, which is also the end effect of everything, where we need to go to. You have the word as. As exists in Dutch, and it has two meanings. It's the axe, which it is also in the system. It's the axe in the system in this case, and it's also a word, the Dutch word for ash, which reminds me of the saying from ashes to ashes. At the end of the cycle, from the beginning to the end of the cycle, we go from ash to ash. It's the end product as well. So it also expresses this word, and it is recognizable what the meaning of this word is, but simply by using the logic where its position in the system is. So, in other words, the first region is not just the physical reference points, it's also what is already there. The second part or the second region that you have of the more complexity is all what is changing in time. So it is not there yet. It's not formed yet. It's in formation. It is going. It's going somewhere, but it needs some time. And the last one, that's the conditions that go back to how it should be. It's what is still be made. So that is the orientation that we have, the associator we have, that we can use. So if you use then the first word that I will explain very shortly is SLA or salad, or salad, or the vegetable as well. Forgot to look it up how it's in English. And then the opposite, als, you can also place on this structure. So you have SLA. So you go from the end cycle, so the end position where you from the large structure to the first existing pinpointing reference point in the physical region. So where it is a way of saying, let's see from our large structure how things will be formed and to what extent it can be formed. So also in combination with L is in the middle of the physical region where everything is formed. L position is the formation process. So you have also a structure, like it says, a horizontal, a vertical, the diagonal. It's a center point, a volume point, the edge point. In the combination of how you organize this, the L is the region of orientation where things are formed. It's the volume. You don't have the center, but you have the volume. The volume into that region with the emphasis on that region. So it is forming itself. So the L is forming itself. The A it's starting. That's what you can say. And the S is that's from the large viewpoint of view, from the large structure. It's the position at the end of the cycle, but it could also start a new cycle from there. So SLA will go from an ideal new position where something new can be formed, so where something can be grown anew. That's what you can have with SLA in the structure of this system. The other way around, als, you start from the center point of view, so from our point of view, to L, to the formation process, and ends with the S, so then in the position where things still need to be made, the complex background structure, with its time-based conditions of formation in which before the formation can take place. Als means if, so it is checking out what it needs to be formed and what it needs to change. So it sees from the start before it can make something, even before it can make something. So that's the association that you can make from simply analyzing the background structure. With SLA, it is making the condition just that way that we will achieve a result in the physical conditions. That's what something in the background that you can make from it. So this background of S, I will it goes very automatic. So it goes in all directions at once. It tries to go with the green arrow directly to create an effect in space, tries to create that. It will use the frame of the element of time, so to accomplish it over time, and it will do something for it. It will change anything or whatever is necessary that will be adapted so that it can make itself represented in space. So this is all the structure at once. It's automated in the background. I tell you this because this sometimes it helps you to analyze words if you know that this will always happen. This structure, this background will always happen. So it always is having this full perspective in time and space, and you will try to restore a balance there. The effect of S plus L will of course also be that L is the two-dimensional frame of that something is forming itself. It will try to form a visible effect. So the S plus L will show you also more about how it is best to form something as good as it can, and it does this by this balancing out the making and the changes, and it does this a bit like a wave between everything. So the S is like this wave formation. It says you can remember it as that the balancing out of elements always takes the form of a wave, very often will take the form of such a wave, because that's what the balance is about. So the goal and the effect is the most important. That's the end effect. It's the end of the cycle. It needs this effect. It will do this in a balanced way with an ability to change something and to start from all of its circumstances. So we'll take all these circumstances together and it will change something, and it will see that it will have its best effect. That's more or less the background of the S. But then now I'll go to the practical part, the examples. We know already the S, we will have this wave form. The L, we know this is about the two-dimensional extension of any letter that is before that. So if you combine S with L, we have this doubled waveform, as you can say. This is the basis of all the words, and this is a reference point of all the words that start with S plus L. With, of course, in the background that we know that we want to create a physical reality and want to keep out the elements that we don't need. So now let's have the first word of the salad, or the coal. I think it is the correct word. Is also the word in English. And it's also a word which is used for, in Dutch word is also used for a hand slash. Now if we design it, we have the S form with a certain physicality, and we have the A, also the A, which is the, so it goes in the direction of the physical formation process. The A will focus mainly on the last part, because if it's a long A, a large A, it will have the middle part, and so the last two regions of reference points. It will be in that enlargement that you can have to see. So the form that we'll get simply by following the letters and the way how we need to combine them according to the theory. We have this structure of this S with this large circle around it. So it's basic, you have that there in blue. Basically it's this form, the S with the A in the end, as a result. So also the other underlying structure is of course the full space. So we don't know where does this A starts from which position. So if you really would fill in the A completely, you can have a larger form as well. But it's already an example that will fit with this leaf forming and will extend itself possibly even to a larger crop as you can see in its with its optical references. The other associations that you have with SLA, I just took this frame for that reason. I checked the SLA. I couldn't find any image on the internet that was related with SLA as as the hand slash and so on. I couldn't find it. But if I know it was a slash of the hand, I took a hand, I just put the hand on the image, and it actually fits pretty well how you could express the slash. It's a hand slash, how you could express it with this little wave as well before it hits you. It is actually expressed pretty well, because if I would I tried other forms as well just to see, like, does this still fit? It doesn't, but with this little S form, and in the end I will have this slashing sound even, or slash, that effect at the end. It will fit with the word. So in perfect condition I have this S-like physical form, with especially with the SLA. With A, of course, it has to have a larger region. So I have SL, the SLA, the SLA. Let's also take SLU. SLU, there are a few words with SLU. The U, we know also from the theory that it will have a tendency to be hollow. Also because it is in a form, in a condition that is still forming itself. If you have it with a form itself, it will make the form hollow inside. And if I combine this with words, like I have a few words, I have SLURF, which is a trunk. So I have first the R, all the connecting processes, and the F, which can be friction. In this case, it is associated, it could be dust, it could be wind, it could be all these kind of things that have this friction. And it makes it so that this form, which was a physical S before, became hollow, and it is also used with the connection process because of the R, and with an F with the material inside. So it is used as a process I think processing is a good word, processing this material into a cycle that where you even change it in position. You change position, make changes in position with that material. That's what it's used for. Another word that you have is slurp or slurping. Also that is used most easily with the image of someone who is slurping with a straw. Again, this straw has the same conditions, the hollow thing, in which also there is this movement of changing positions again, and at the end you can sense it already what it can be. It is the pressing out or pressing in. It is, and then with the R in interconnecting regions, you can sense what it is. It fits with the word. It fits exactly with the words. Let's go to the next word, the SLAK. The SLA, I already told you, the A is the smallest part. It is actually it should be more or less the size of the wave itself. So it could, the head here could be larger. I didn't make it larger, but it could be slightly, it's maybe even better, slightly larger. And the K is the breaking point. It's always a breaking point. So the snake, in the physical way, it's or the snail. It's snail, I wanted to say. It is not more needed than with the A as well. The A is a physical part. It's in a physical word, so the last part is actually enough to express it, not the three levels at once. It's the effect at the end. So the effect you will see at the head. The A with the K, the breaking part. Not much more than that. Where does it form from? If it also forms from nowhere, from circular of circumstances, I could present it here in the end as I see underneath. That is the SLAK or the snail. It's very easy to go from there, from SLAK to and you separate the S from the LAK. Then LAK is also a paint which sticks very well. Lick is also very easily, or lack or lick, or that's the same thing, lacking or licking, is very easily associated with the, or the end with the K where it breaks, and which if you associate it with vowels, it's the E parts, the separate parts that come in or come out or stick out are associated there. So the word lick is very easily associated there as well. But SLAK, as SLAK, so the snail, is recognizable in the. I also can say something about the part that is missing, but that's not what I'm going to do here. It's at the head there. SLAK is truly or very easily associated simply by following the reference points of the letters and how they are combined. Let's go for the next words. Let's compare SLAK with SLOK and SLIK, and also the English word SLIK. SLOK and SLIK are Dutch words as well. SLIK has to be the E and the K combined, so something is there coming in. SLAK is with a pinpointing on the head, and SLOK is starting from an environment. The O is an environment, an environmental starting point, but it's also part of a process. It's an environmental starting point of where you can follow a process. SLOK, or I forgot the English word again. So when you drink something, you could take a gulp. Let's say it's the drinking part. Actually, SLOK is you swallow. Yeah, to swallow. It's more or less the English word. SLOK, how we associate it. It's the outer part, the last part, the effect part is not alone when we pinpoint it at the last physical point of reference. So where we do that. It's much more. So it's also a whole process that is behind it. So we have a sip first, because if you translate SLOK, you will see it is to swallow, it's to sip, it's to gulping, it's all these kind of things, and these are only partially the same thing as SLOK, because it's the whole process there. The O is process. There are three parts. The three parts will be visible: the taking in, the process itself, and what we digest, let's say, what we will get rid of even at the end. So while SLIK with the insertion, which is also the verb to swallow, is just, it doesn't matter what you swallow, but with SLOK it really is the focus on all the whole process of what we do. So we have the three parts which are necessary. The end effect for the S is always the most important. So it's the desired effect, and that's the part that you see. So that's where you envision it, what is going on. Behind that is the next level, it's the processing itself. So what is processing there? What is going on there? What is doing it there? It's no longer visible, and it is a process in time. So it is, you take a sip and then it's going down. It's going down. What is going to do there, or why it's going to do that? The end, that's the last part. That's the last level of the S as well. It's the last level of the whole structure. It is, the purpose is, like with the K, discriminating, distincting, separating the materials, so that we get rid of what we take in, and it's going away somewhere to somewhere else in a reorganization. So these are the three parts again. So what you see is the first part, what is done is the second part, what will be done with it is the third part. The spatial reference, the time reference, and the outcome reference. So if you compare it with the drinking, the drinking is also in three parts. There's a visual part, there's an activity, and a no longer visible part, the deletion with the K. That's the three parts which are also always in the S. Only the visible part is mostly important, that's our reference point, but all the three parts, if you really want to understand what the word is meaning in the letter combination and what the words are meaning, you need all these levels of organization and have to notice them to realize what is going on. So SLOK and SLIK. Now let's compare SLIK with SLIK with a CK. There's an extra distinction with the CK, being slick is something else as slick. Slick is to swallow. Being slick is something completely different. But anyway, it has the same structure. So what is the difference? With slick, or to swallow, there is the E as a main focus. It is also, this balance is there, so we have something coming in, the insertion, the E, and we get then the activity, we want to get rid of it. We want to process it and get rid of it. Process it, SL, and get rid of it, K. That's slick. What do we do with slick and CK? C and K is something special that I explained in one of the other videos as well. It's you can translate it a little bit like it's a distinction between the elements, the C, the elements that are distinguished, or the K. So a distinction between the elements that are distinguished. That's the C with the K. That's how you can translate it. Focus on the elements, which elements hang together. During your distinction, during your separation, we do something constructive with it. And with the K, we also separate some parts. These are the good ones and these are the bad parts. And what do we do with slick? Slick is actually saying like we clean the dust so that it is clean in the end. So it is getting rid of what we don't need and emphasize what is left over. So it's a reorganization as well to its best effect, as what is SL doing all the time. So just a small repetition. The main focus remains the S as the trying to grasp everything in the effect, the last effect. With SLIK, there's the E, processing towards change, so we swallow something downwards as well, with a new element, and we process it, and the thing that comes in disappears and is distributed. With the O, the SLOK, it's the O or process itself, so it's the process of swallowing. What is swallowed, it doesn't matter. It is the process. What do we do with the process? That's the difference between these two words, simply because of the position of the letters. And with the C, it's the C which is important. So it is the material. In this case, it is important that there is a material that we get rid of, what we are cleansing something, so that at the end effect, we will have success in it. So we got rid of the material, it's a successful processing. Now we are slick, it's slick. That's the way how we make the difference. So the three parts of slick are there as well. Just a small reference point. It's not that important, but also the three parts are there. It's the outer effect is we try to grasp the slickness immediately by focusing on the effect that it will have on us. The processing itself is in the CK, the processing of the material. It is a processing of the material before it can be successful in time. That's our focus, or what we need to do in it. It has to be cleaned first before we can have a clean thing. And this filter is something that we still have to do. That's the elimination processes in the end. That's also, these three parts are also there in SLIK. Let's go to the next word, SLAK. That's also a Dutch word. SLAK means mud, let's say, or dirt. How can we combine that? So the A is actually like a lot of E's combined actually with the G, which gives it a loosely hanging together of E's, or incoming or insertions, and the K is breaking apart. So because of this complexity of hanging together insertions and now also breaking apart, so we have, it's more or less so much complexity of features. It's almost the features of a loosely hanging together material. The G is loosely hanging together, the K is breaking apart. So it is not only hanging together and then it's again breaking apart, it is like the mud somewhat sticking together but loosely hanging together as well. It's a material. That's how you can understand it. So just a last time comparison, the SLIK as the swallow, we focus on what we can process of the material. SLIK with CK, we focus also on the end effect, but it's because we got rid of the material. SLAK is this material itself. It's trying to separate and it's trying to hang together. That's what, because it's more or less in between. Let's go to the next example now. Let's go to slang or snake. But it's also used, we also use slang for instance, a garden hose. And then we also say it as a garden snake. So it's a tuin slang, it's a garden hose. And we also have the word slang, which is an English word, which is, yeah, it is more like the dialect language, let's say. It's something completely different. But let's analyze it and see why or how this can be all these things together. So the SLA, we already did with the short A, cannot be larger than I have here. The ang, because we have the ng here sound, is that something small hangs together with something larger. So the ng will always connect the small to the large. Just like the n is the small into the large, the ang is the hanging together of the small into the large. Like what? Where the G is the large, in a way, the ng is the hanging together of the small into the large. This interconnection is reached there. Funny enough, I saw this ang. If I really emphasize on this ang and how this can be extended, I can recognize here the angle, not like angel, but angle, and an angle means sting. And I can recognize this form there, but that's just a side idea. You can always recognize other words there simply because the letters are already recognized there. Angel and angle also have relationships, but that's also for some other time to explain that. Okay, so I already told you that A cannot be much larger than the wave form, so that's what we already know. But because of the ang, it will be larger, so you know already. So it is not slang, but slang. So the head should also be a little bit enlarged, because it is, and that focus is important. It's the smaller part in the large, so it's like almost the eye into the head, into the larger structure than the tube form, let's say, or what in this case, or the the worm form. So it is also the distinction between the worm and the snake, because if we look up what the essence is for the snake, there are a couple of essences, but one of the essences is the form of the head, which is larger than that of the worm. And there you can see this is not a worm, this is a snake. The ends and the ng combined can make some rings around the around the snake, if you would like. That is also a possibility within the limits of the combinations of letters. And if I extend the possibilities that I have, there's just if I take angs together, or an and angs together, I have variations in between ang, slan, slang, that will fit all within the limits of how we can have the structure of the snake there. It's funny enough as well with slang, if I combine these two things, the large L will be even larger, so that I have a little bit more emphasis on le, and le lang exists as well, which means long. Fits still there, so you have sometimes you recognize words there simply because I separate the S from slang and I have lang, and I can recognize slang. That kind of things you will notice more than often if you play with the letter combinations and you realize it and you succeed in forming the forms themselves. Let's go to the next word. Slot. Slot has different meanings, but let's first design it. The slot, here we have the sl here, the O, and then it abruptly ends with the T at the end. So the slot there, I also have it in two phases. So mainly we try to have one phase only as the end result, but if we look into the other frames, the second frame is the time frame, we can have another phase as well. And these phases, they matter if you really want to understand what slot means. Slot, there are different meanings. You have the fitting slot, the key lock, but it's also slot as a Dutch word means actually like a closed castle. That makes the difference between a castle and kasteel or castle and slot, or some other synonyms as well. It's closed. It's closed from the environment, either with water around it or with a bridge, which is called a bridge from a slot bridge. So in the words, if you look it up. So that's what I designed there. And if I compare it to the things that I can find on the internet, the images of the slot, of the different slots, they also fit. I have this slot, the slot where you can put the coin in it. It also fits as a structure. If I look at the closed castle, it fits as a structure. Even with the bridge that you can open or close in time. I didn't even look at the third phase, but you can already starting to recognize the elements of slot there. It asks even more analyzing if you want to have all the details together. But also the slot, the fitting slot, the key lock. There's it can be closed, it can be opened. There's a different phase there, which is also recognizable in the pattern that I have there. I simply designed it there and nothing more than that. And I already have a recognition, something that I can recognize there. So we notice also that in all these aspects of the slot, so we have three completely different slots there. But all of them have the element of a closing in, a fitting in, and slot. Also in Dutch we have sluit or closing. It's closing in. It's fitting in. That these things They all fit together, so there are associations that we have in our back of the mind, that we associate it with these phases of closing and closing in, fitting in, to close. Let's go to the next word. Slip or slipper. Slip, I have different versions that I designed here in the top. I have 4 versions, and slipper I have there as well. The E and the P which comes out, so it is expressed there. So let's analyze it a bit further. So also there are the 2 options. So you have a part that is with the E, it's taking in, and the end with the P, it will be pushed away again. With a slipper, it will be a slipper with a double P and the R, that is a connecting point. We will notice it more easily what will be the whole process behind it. So you have something that inserted and something that is pressed out. These two, just only these 2 elements are already easily recognizable in what the slippers are. So there's a part that you have to insert in it with the activity for it. So because you want to use it, you want to do something with it. And there it's pressed, pressed in, and the form itself is pressed out here. So there's an open ending at the end, but then of course your toes will be pressed out. This is a small part which is pressed out as well, where you fit in. This whole combinations of in and pressing out, going in and press, and from up in a part that is pressed out. This complex combination is actually the process which is described in the letters. And let's go now to slip. In all the letters I will try to have this focus of balance. So I try to make a balance. What comes in has this come out. So I will try to use these contemplation parts, but what the S is trying to make a new balance. SL will always try to make a new balance. So let's try to do that in the letters. With the L it's easy, so you have L, something coming in, and a form coming in, a form coming out. So you have something coming in, you have something coming out. The pressing out is and the S itself is more difficult to express in this same kind of balance. So we have to have a correction, an adaptation. So even when I just play with it in that way, like to make a balance, I can see that some parts don't fit very well. The pressing out with slip it is not so easy to express it, because how can you control the situation with the pressing out? It doesn't fit very well or very easily in that way. You see here the pressing out, where does it have to go to? Will it be out of balance? Let's try to make it into a balance. This the P of the pressing out of a process will go all the way. So that's already something that we'll know. And now we combine it with the S, which will also go in 2 ways all the way. So the P has to become in balance before it can be pressed out all the way, and the S should be in balance, and then we have an end result. So here's my end result. The slip is this form with the emphasis on where the P has to go to. And the S, I can also go even better into balance if I compare it to everything that I have, and I can come to a form like this. So that's what I see, and then leaving just only one P in the end, so that I know how the balance more or less is. This was a play that I did to try to keep the balance there. And does it fit? Okay, let's compare it now with all the slips that I find on the internet. There are a lot of different words that mean slip. But what I say always is like when you really find the structure and then also analyze it, what it means in that combination, you will understand all the words, even if they are different meanings, and all the forms, even if they express something different. And the meanings the underlying meanings of the structure, what it does, how it looks like, and why it is having this form or whatever, will be the same for all these words that are only seemingly different. And I will see if this is the case with slip. I found different slips. I have this, there's a slip or an opening in a material. I have this slip in my clothes. I have a clothing piece which is called a slip as well. And there's when a car brakes too quickly, and I have a trail on the road, which is also called a slipping trail. So that's also slip. It's also the way how it abruptly breaks with this then is also expressed as slip. And even the this head slip there is also called slip. Does these fit? Let's find out. I have the P of the points of the two elements there that I have the two pressed out parts. I have two pressed out parts or pressed in parts or whatever you have to see. And I have the lip also. It's the lip or the two parts that of forms that are separated and end in the pressed out parts. That's common in all these objects. So if I combine all them, I have more or less a form that expresses the slip in all of these forms. So I have a structure which is the same even for words which mean something else. That's also, again, not a real proof, but it is showing how our mind is directing itself and is grasping the elements. Oh yeah, it's doing that. That's the slip. So we use the word slip in all the similar structures, and that's how our mind works. So I have s, sl, and m. Let's now take word with sl with m. This will be a difficult one because the S are the waves forms, and the M is more like it's the maximized form. It's like the mass. Now, strangely enough, also water also has two completely different opposites. The first opposite shows you the waves, and the largest other opposite is the mass. So the structure of water will try to fill in everything as a mass, but in a separate activation it will show a wave, and this balance in between these two forms is almost like between water and the mass as matter. And mah is also the Egyptian word for water. Water is expressed with the three waves together, where it will form like a square, it's like a square. It's filled in completely. For me, ma is expressed with a square, a full square. That's ma, and that is what matter is, and what the maximized form is. But it's like we are dealing here with two completely different consistencies or opposites. And so words with these two opposites, it will be a bit difficult to analyze them, but I will do that, and I will try that. So if you have S plus L, we know already we have SL, plus M is SLEM. I have the blue with the different waves in it. So it's completely filled in with vibrations, let's say. But the SLIM is actually in reality a combination of the waves and the hanging together of forms. So the matter-like consistency and the separated adaptation. When it's fully adapted, it is matter. When it's only partly adapted, it's a wave. So in between these two realities, that's the SL and M combination. So we have a couple of words. We have I can also combine it with O, like in slow, just remind us of slow, or SLOOM. It means sluggish. Once they start to interfere within one environment, the SL with the M, so these waves and the matter, it will not be a very dynamic thing. It will actually slow down in or be stagnated in its form of waves, because the waves will become the mass, as you can experience. The same thing with slime. The slime also is in between these waves, where waves behaves like water, and the M or mass, which behaves like matter. If water slightly changes and already start to behave like matter, water will slow down its waves, and these waves will behave more like matter, and they will become like slime. This consistency will become different. And that's what it is. Slime also with the it's in between these two conditions. The SLIM is another thing, which is another contradiction. E is something. E is the letter which means something will fit in, and it will also fit in perfectly. It will be an insertion. The wave will fit into the mass and will balance out to try to fit in. That's another weird thing. So in between mass and waves we have SLIM, and that I have to explain a bit better. So here I have this consistency. If I really focus only on the consistency, we know with SLIM will actually be a perfect balance between matter and vibration. You don't have that in many forms. It is so that means that the movement is actually in control. Let's say from the E, it's in control. This vibration between, and also between matter and vibration itself, will be in control. I know one thing that I can associate easily with it. It's the grey mass in our brain, and slim is also in Dutch means cleverness. So okay, if I have to associate mass, a certain consistency with it, the grey mass will fit. It's not mud, it's not matter. It will, this grey mass will be fluent enough to pick up the vibrations and still produces it further into matter. It fits. It doesn't fit as a word, but the association comes to mind because I also know that slim means clever, and still need to explain why SLIM is having these two word associations that are not immediately recognized, but if I investigate further, I will recognize them very quickly. So we have the S with L in balance, the E in balance, the SLUM, I still have to find the balance. So let's try to do that, and then I will come to that. Simply already by knowing that we have a partial two-dimensional frame of extension that we have to insert into a maximized form, it will give you very easily the impression we have here a building block that has to be fit in somewhere. That is already the idea. That is also correct. It is a partial idea, it's derived idea. It is because you know the letters individually, the L and the E, we know that it will try to find a solution that will fit that will fit. And just to analyze it a little bit further, we know that S plus L has this kind of form. By SLI adapting to the maximum size of M, but with an insertion in it, we take also the frame, the full frame of it, the full frame of insertions in the 3 parts. It's always in 3 parts. So let's do this. Make this insertion as the bricks on all the levels. And level it out. Let's try to level it out and see if we insert it. How shall we level it out and what will we get in our experiment? We'll get some variations. That's a variation I have. Let's also compare them to the previous association that I had with the word slip. Just one word difference. Here we end with the M, and the previous one we ended with the P. The P, we know, was a pressed out form into a doubling of a form, and we got this frame, this structure, and now we wonder what will be the structure with the M. I'll give it one more attempt to come to that. I'll come to that. Let's just have already one image that I found on the internet that is expressing SLIM, and let it inspire us a little bit. Also here, SLIM is giving us already very good an impression that it is about having a control over the body line. So the body is in the middle, it's a material, the materializing, the M is in the middle, and here the measurement, the fluctuations, the S is the thing that is used to make a balance, but it is it is open to fluctuations. So we have I have one form here which shows the materializing in the middle and the fluctuations on the outside. Still, with this frame alone, I don't have the great idea yet. I don't have the other idea of SLIM, the cleverness. I don't have the control over the mind here yet. It is a these fluctuations are still dependent on this whole process and the balance between the SL and the M. So I could have a slinging when I want to be SLIM. Yeah, it doesn't work very well because the steadiness, the strength is inside. It's the body, and it has a certain size, so it doesn't work. Or I'm influenced by the outside influences, and it's weakening again. So it's getting all full forms. So that's still a puzzle, but I will find the puzzle. But let's focus again on the material. We have here this balance between the, also a little bit like the balance between the elements. So you had, as I said before, a balance between the fluidity and the strength of the form. When the fluidity was increased above the materializing strength, you had a little bit more fluidity, and it had the word slime. Slim, we know that it has to have a balance between this fluidity and the mass. We also already expressed that there is a certain mass. Mass on itself is steady. It is even with any movement that it will have, will have its steadiness. With slim, it will also have a steadiness, but it's a balance between, this fluidity processing and vibrations, and the material that achieves these vibrations. Where is it? Even man, as the word is expressed with the M, is the man should be round. So how can I get slim? Let's first focus a little bit more on the slim second meaning. So we had already, it is about controlled body figure, which we had problems with that, to control it. But slim also has the second meaning of smartness, of cleverness, of being clever. So it's this cleverness in between. This E is a key point here. So we have an idea, we have some idea, we don't know yet how, but we have an idea to control the balance between mass and vibrations. I tried to look up some images of slim, the Dutch word slim, but I couldn't find them. There were some of them that had associations with the brain, but you have some of them associations with the English word smart, so I will take that for now. Smart, most of the time it was expressed as a symbol or as a vector. I look it up down as this light bulb. This light bulb, which is an expression of this smart idea. The impression that I also have of this balance seeking between the vibrations of the outside world and the inner control, it looks a bit like the headband, I think it is called, from some of these Indian gurus, or as you can see here. So is this also about cleverness? No, it's an association which also says something about an intention. You will want to have a control over your not just your smartness, but also the control between the elements, the control between the inner and the outer world. We want to have a control, so we are also attracted to all these ideas, which makes us smarter. And all these ideas, will they make us more smart? Will any smart ass will it make us more smart? These gurus, will they make us more smart? Slim is not just smart, it's also clever. You can get very smart. You can have a lot of good ideas, but you can become a smart ass, but it doesn't make it a clever idea. It doesn't make the balance. That's what it is about. It is how can you find that balance? Being attracted to ideas, how to do so, wanting to do so is not enough. So let's focus more time on what will make this balance work. Being a smart ass is not the thing. The basics we know already between slim of your body or slim of your mind are to remain in control of the balance between the influences and fluctuations of the outside world, the waves, the influences and so on, and your body. But you know also your body wants to be round, and so it's not enough. So we have to find a way to know this balance, and the balance is made by E. E is not just an idea. it's not just an impulse to do so. There is also, E is based upon the structure that I started in the beginning. It's also one of the words one of the letters which is at the end of the cycle, and there are two letters at the end of the cycle. It's the S, which is the automated process, and the E, which is intentional process. The intentional changes. And now I come to it. Now I come to the thing that could make anybody clever. So we have the M in the middle and the S, the fluctuation and so on. You can have a great idea, but does it work? Not necessary. But E is also has its process of balances. The E are all the parts in between. The E parts alone decides which elements are added, where they are added, when they are added, and in that way you can have a roundness where you like it. You have a slimness where it's healthy to be so. It is the rounding forms are there where they should be. Because we decide the elements that are in balance. And how they are in balance, not just that I want to have big things here and thin things there and another thick thing there. No, it's also about the balance. The balance is in between everything. In between everything. Not there where they are in the M or there where they are in the is. It's in between. So the parts where everything becomes in balance. That's what the E structure is doing underneath. If we would compare it to a smart meter, also there you can have fluctuations that you can say like, oh, let's do it a little bit balance more like this or like that, and then try to find the results that I want to have. That doesn't work like that. What you can have is that the realization that all the elements that have fluctuations, they automatically slide towards the middle. The middle is the mass in between, and this middle part can be controlled by a vision that makes it so that the balance is making a form in the middle, and that's how the cleverness takes part. So that that you have in the middle is like you can have the statistics, a sort kind of statistics in between. Just like you can be dependent on a whole stock market of fluctuations and then create the result in the end. No, this is creating the result in the first place to make everything slide towards that perspective, and that is given with cleverness via the E, via the S, towards the M, into slim smartness. Last comparison is with the Dutch word for slimness is SLANK. SLANK, I have a very quick expression here. Let's say it's an intuitive expression. I looked up also some of the images on the internet, and I found it amazing that the images also have almost like forms of letters. They have this fluidity. SLANK of slim is not about this balance. It's more about SLANK is the form of the body. There's a certain fluidity here, and almost all the images had hands up. And if you read the letters SLANK, the K at the end is also there in this expression. So it's one of the things that also will make you realize that we deal with the letters unconsciously and we adapt to it. You have in the SLANK image there of who is the slim body, which in this word it inspires you because you follow also the rules of the letters, strangely enough. Last word, SLIERTEN. Okay, what's our conclusion? Does this work? Is there a main frame that we can use, a main structure that we can use for all the words with SL? Yes, we can. It's not always easy because it's at the end of the structure we have a very large structure, but they always tend to find the form that is adapted to what we want, so that we have the effect that we desire, and so on. And there will be an adaptation in between. All the words with SL have this structure, I guarantee. Anyhow, sorry that it was such a long video. It was also a bit complex at times, but I hope you enjoyed, and that it was helpful also to realize that letters are followed unconsciously, and they have a tendency to follow certain rules in which way they make forms in the end. It's not the formation itself that is the main basis of this whole theory. This, of course, but of course with L in between it is also about formation. So these words are about formation. So they are helpful to make us realize how formations in general are formed unconsciously. The rules themselves, okay, I hope already something of them are clear enough in the explanations. Thanks for watching. This was Gerald Van Waas. There's a website too. You can subscribe to the YouTube channel if you like, for more constructional, instructional examples and demonstrations. Thanks again. Bye-bye.